With three distinguished ladies. May I please welcome to the stage Restituta Valentine Gombo, Supply Chain Management from Equinor. Hand of applause, thank you. Also, we have from the NEEC, the National Economic Empowerment Council, Ms. Esther Mbaga, who is the Acting Director of Local Content. Please welcome Esther. And last but not least, we have Ms. Rosa Mungwambe, Local Content Officer from the ENH in Mozambique. And I'll give it a shot. The ENH is Empresa Nacional Hidrocarbonetas. I hope I got that correct. So she's representing. Obviously, Mozambique is a key player, one that's slightly ahead of the curve compared to the TZ context, so her inputs will be quite valuable in this regard. So this is our fully constituted panel. The order of our discussion is really around SME participation. It's on role of technology transfer across value chains, and obviously then touching in aspects of local content. And this is obviously very important. We've had very, very experienced panelists in previous discussions, and you can see in some areas where this comes up as a key issue in terms of how the local communities or the local economic franchises also benefit from a successful program around developments being upstream or downstream. So we hope to have a very good discussion over the next half hour or so. And also some questions from the audience. So just maybe to kick things off, we all know very much how important the sector is in terms of SMEs, and obviously it's that vital touch point that helps to amplify economic benefits across the sector to touching so many more people and more livelihoods, and therefore significantly addressing poverty reduction. So we're going to talk across a number of issues, and I will, from a general point of view, I'll go across all my panelists, and just to get their general comments in terms of the area they're currently in and their role around enhancing SMEs or participating in effective technology transfer across value chains. And for this, I would like to begin with Restituta in the order in which we were called up. Restituta, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As my law in Equinor as supply chain, I just wanted to assure the supplier that we want to work with you, local SME. We work and we are working actively to create local opportunities. We will help contractors in Tanzania to identify the opportunities in oil and gas supply chain, the value chain. We are supporting and we will continue supporting initiative for SME to build capacity. And I can say, for the effective SME capacity building, I think this needs collaboration efforts between us investors, between the government, between key stakeholders, mentioning TPDC, PURA, NEC, our colleague here, ATOGS. This needs effective collaboration between stakeholders. That's where we will be able to come up with effective SME capacity building programs to be able to realize good results. I also see the Latu avenue in enhancing these SME capacities. First of all, I have mentioned is for us key players to work together, to collaborate together in order to achieve a good capacity building programs. Second, I see that the SME owners themselves. They need to work very hard. They need to work on their area to see where the opportunities, and then they can identify gaps and start developing by themselves. We are here to support them, but also for them to work and see where they can tap these opportunities around oil and gas value chains. Having said so, I have mentioned Equino, Tanzania, and also for me, with my capacity as supply chain, we are here to support the SME. We are here to work with them. So I urge SME owners to work on their areas, to do their parts. And for us as investors and the key stakeholders, PURA, the government, ATOGs, TPSF, and other relevant associations, we can work together to ensure that we build capacity for the local SME. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Restuta. I think very, very affirmative, very crisp, very to the point in terms of Equinor's resolve to work with SMEs and to support them. Now, the National Economic Empowerment Council, which was set up in 2005, with the task of monitoring and coordinating empowerment throughout the economy, has a key role to play here. So I just want to invite you, Madam Baga, and to tell us as Director of Local Content at the NEEC, what is the approach and what is the feeling around enhancing SME participation, in particular to the oil and gas sector? Karibu.
Thank you very much. NEC is under the Prime Minister's office, so its major role is to coordinate, monitor, and facilitate the participation of Tanzanians in the economy. So at the National Economic Empowerment Council, our focus in the extractive sector is to ensure that the SMEs participate effectively in the whole value chain in the extractive sector. So what we have done is we are currently developing a suppliers database. I know there is a database at EWURA which registers suppliers in the petroleum sector, but the National Economic Empowerment Council is developing a database which will register suppliers in all the other sectors of the economy. The aim is to ensure that we understand what their capacities are, what gaps they have, and which areas that we need to concentrate in building their capacities. We are also working on establishing enterprise development centers, which we will do in collaboration with various players. And the centers will be focused on developing the skills of SMEs to enable them to get the required standards and information about what are the requirements in the extractive sector. So these initiatives we are expecting to be completed by early next year. So we expect that the SMEs, once we start to register in the suppliers database, that they will be proactive and register with us so that we know where they are, what they are doing, what their capacities are, to identify the areas which we could build their capacities, to enable them to get the required information about what is required by the investors, and to link the SMEs with the IOCs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Baga. Now, I'm a banker by profession, and one of the areas that banking and SMEs usually come to loggerheads, specifically, as we've seen within the local economy, is when it comes to the onerous requirements around, be it registration, be it in terms of the way in which the SMEs run. I just wanted to establish a rough feel of sort of the baseline requirements to register some of these SMEs, and are they, it may be restrictive, are they things that SMEs can easily live up to in terms of registration and the requirements, and allow them to now get in and sort of graduate further within the value chain?
Yes, in the database that we will have, it won't only register only the large companies, but we'll also start with the small companies. So we'll register all of them, but the basic requirements is that they have to be registered and with the relevant government authorities, like they need to have a tax clearance certificate, registered with BRELA. Those are the basic things. But then we will classify them according to their levels and see what are the requirements according to the different levels they are in.
So no 4-year financials audited and credit debtors analysis, as bankers normally would like to ask. Okay, so can we please, now we'll go to across the southern border to Mozambique, where we'll speak to Rosa. I think, as I tried to say earlier, Mozambique is somehow, a bit ahead of the curve with regards to its endeavors within the oil and gas space. So it'd be very interesting to hear how the role around enhancing SME participation and technology transfer has been taken within the Mozambique industry. Welcome.
Thank you. ENH is the national oil company of Mozambique. It was established in 1981, and it represents the commercial interests of the state in all oil and gas operations in Mozambique. I would like to start by saying an African proverb that goes like this: if you want to go far, go alone. But if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. This is to say that for us in Mozambique, building partnerships locally, regionally, or internationally, it's very important in enhancing our company's participation in the oil and gas sector. Having said that, I have to say that we have legislation on local content in Mozambique, and most of the legislation promotes the participation of local company through, for example, a partnership with foreign companies. We are now drafting a new national content law, which is a generic law, meaning that it's a national content that covers all the sectors of activity. It's not specific to the oil and gas sector. After the approval of this law, what will happen is that we will have regulations that are specific to each sector of activity. Some important aspects of this law have to do with some of the guiding principles. The first one is that the law encourages the establishment of strategic business partnership between domestic and foreign suppliers, and also that national capacity development through technology transfer and training is very important. So ENH, as national oil company, is working with other entities in the design of this law. It's also important to say that the draft of the law has been approved by the Economic Council, which is the technical body that supports the Council of Ministers. ENH also works in collaboration with Mozambican companies through the Confederation of Economic Association of Mozambique. We do this work by engaging in local content conference, but also through roundtables where we discuss the challenges that our companies face, and we also present new developments in the sector and also some business opportunities. Now, coming in specific to the National Oil Company of Mozambique, we are currently designing a program which aims to enhance local companies' participation in the sector. It's a program that has 5 components, and one of the most important components is the establishment of partnerships. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Rosa. I really wish you would have told me backstage that Empresa Nacional de Hidrocarbonetas is just National Oil Company of Mozambique. And thank you for your inputs on the fact that the partnerships that you've been doing between local and foreign suppliers in terms of the legislation, and that's something that I think we've also seen here in country in terms of local content regulations and other similar guidelines encouraging the same. I'm not sure if all those legal frameworks have been effective as of far, but it's a journey that we've also started. Now, according to data in Tanzania, one of the latest national baseline surveys is that there's at least around 3 million SMEs within the country. And most of them, over 54%, involve women. And usually an SME is being defined by the kind of technology they use, the number of people they've hired, the amount of investments, and the relative type of turnover. Now, SMEs in Tanzania face very similar particular challenges, mainly in the areas of a very unfavorable legal and regulatory framework, underdeveloped infrastructure, poor business development services available to them, limited access to SME financing, and ineffectively and poorly coordinated institutional frameworks. Now, I want to pose the next question back to the NEEC with regards to how they are championing supporting SMEs through some of these very persistent challenges that they are currently facing within the country. So I know I promised you not to ask you about the SME policy, but I lied. So if there's anything from a policy or an institutional framework that is going to help SMEs locally deal with some of these challenges so they can take part in some of these industries as things develop. What are the main priorities?
Okay, we all know that in the Petroleum Act, it clearly gives priority that preference should be given to local companies to participate in the supply of goods and services. So we do know that there are challenges that the local SMEs are facing. And most of those challenges are actually access to finance, capacity, information gap about what is required in the market and to get that information on it timely. So what we are working on is actually that we are currently talking with various banks to see on how we could work together to ensure that they develop products that will be able to facilitate the local SMEs, local companies, to be able to get capital to invest and to be able to supply in these large projects. But these products should have a reasonable interest rate and not require very high collateral so that they could be able to participate. And we are also requesting them to work with us in developing programs that will be able to give them financial literacy, to enable them to know how to manage their finances, and also to link the suppliers with investors. So with the enterprise development centers, what we are seeing is that we will have to work with the IOCs so that they'll be able to inform the local suppliers what are the standards that they require for their products, what are the tendering procedures, because we know that that is one of the challenge that is facing the local SMEs, to understand how the tendering procedures are, what are the standards that are required, the quality of goods that are required, and other issues relating to access to finance. So we believe that the suppliers database and the enterprise development centers will be one of the initiatives which will enable us to link the local SMEs with the investors, to enable them to get timely information on what is required by the IOCs, what standards are required, and to enable them to have access to finance. So we believe through these two initiatives, it will enable the local SMEs to get the opportunities to participate in the extractive sector.
Thank you very much again for bringing up the issue of access to financing. And I'm just throwing this out there. Will this database link also to maybe some credit info, reference data, and something that will help bring the banks in terms of helping them understand the clients? Obviously, the problem is banks don't understand the client so much, but the client also doesn't understand the bank, and obviously usually you have the breakdown in between. I will pick on some particular banking colleagues in the audience just to get them to give us their views on this as well at a later stage in our discussion. Thank you, Ms. Mbaga. Now, I'll come back to Restituta from Equinor. Now, so you deal with quite a few SMEs within your role in supply chain management. What are they getting wrong? What is it that they need to do much better of to get the opportunities to work with Equinor? And I mean, maybe some of them are here, but so we can have an exchange when you go down to it. What is it that they're still not doing correctly?
Thank you. The challenges I see for the local SME, for my experience, because in Equinor, most of the time when there is an opportunity, we do announce in the newspaper. We put the available opportunity through tendering, and then we post it through TPDC website, and also we share with ATOX and TPSF Association for them to share with their members. However, when we receive this information, we have requested from the public, you may come across and find that some of the local SME, they are not able to put up the documentation together. For the basic documentation like the valid tax clearance, valid business license in Tanzania, the tax identification number, the TIN number, and also the VAT identification number, and some compliance certificate like from OSHA. So these are the basic main challenges. And also the second challenge is our local SME, they are not able to respond on time, because in oil and gas business, time is crucial. We cannot afford to delay. There is no trial and error. So when we request information from you as the SME, we expect that you will respond to us as investor on time or in time as highlighted. But these have been the two major problems from the local SME. Time of responding, and also they are not able to put up all the required documentation. Just basic information requested from the local. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for those inputs. It would seem at first glance these are quite, I mean, perhaps we've not even gone into addressing the technical issues. At this, we're just saying the timeliness of the submissions, and we're not really talking the quality of submissions, the extent to which the SMEs are also putting in quality submissions, which if the first is an issue, obviously I would assume the latter also will be an issue. And therefore, I wanted to pose the next question to Rosa, with regards to, now when it comes to technology transfer, and obviously how with time you want to create a situation where you have the SMEs themselves graduating from, in terms of the roles they're doing and they're playing within the value chain. What has been the significant transformation or the agenda on the education side from a country level? Has been there emphasis on more vocational training, or is there been support from the government in certain areas? So the education that really helps spur potential future SMEs, what is that scenario like from Mozambique point of view?
Thank you. The government in Mozambique is investing in education. We have some vocational trainings where our local labor force is being trained, but we need to do more. At ENH, we also have these training programs. We have internships for college graduates that last for 4 months, but we also have secondments for our collaborators. They last on average for 2 years, and the goal is to enhance our internal capability to be able to work in this industry. We are training our collaborators in order to, in the future, when we are responsible for all the operations, we are ready, we are technical ready for this. Coming back to the program that I spoke previously at ENH, like I said, it's a program that aims to enhance local companies' capabilities. It has 5 components. The first component aims to deal with those challenges that are faced individually by the companies. We have a second component that aims to address collective challenges that are faced by Mozambican companies. For instance, regarding to the management of the contracts in the sector, regarding access to financing, regarding to skills to respond to the standards of the sector. The third component of our program has to do with helping our companies to establish linkages locally and nationally with the operators and the providers of goods and service. The fourth component has to do with enhancing the local companies' capabilities to be able to make joint ventures locally, regionally, and internationally, because we believe that through joint ventures, this is a very important mechanism of technology transfer to our companies. And the fifth component has to do with access to finance. On this component, we'll be working with local financial institutions in order to establish mechanisms to help our companies to provide goods and services in the sector. I have to say that apart from the government initiatives, the operators in Mozambique, they are obliged to have local content plans, and one of the components in the local content plans has to do with the employability of Mozambicans, but as well as the training and capacity building of our labor force. The aim is to ensure gradually that we have more and more local labor force working in the projects, and also to ensure that gradually we have more and more Mozambicans occupying managerial positions in the projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much for a rundown of those vital 5 key areas in terms of the focus to support local content. I want to go to the floor, but before I do, just one more curveball to Restituta here on my left. Back the way we normally used to look at this from a banking perspective, you have a company such as Equinor, which really acts as the main focal point of an ecosystem of other players that are around that, down to the smallest SME player that feeds into the company. Now, does mapping out such an ecosystem, does that help you consider, say, if it's credit guarantee schemes or some support that allows the bank to be much more comfortable with the risk that they take on a SME player who's offering a service to somebody along your ecosystem or value chain. Is that a program that probably you have, or is that something that is doable to support the SME financing agenda?
Actually, in Equino, what we have quite a number of initiatives to support SME. One of the initiatives we have is a Supplier Day workshop. We have been conducting yearly Supplier Day workshop. This is a platform for us to share project update information and also to share our expectation towards the local SME. So the supplier, the local SME, they are given time and opportunity to hear what is expected from the investors, what is expected from us. At every stage, what do they need to do? And also, during our tendering process, I have mentioned before that we do announce in newspaper, in local newspaper, when opportunities comes up. So the local SME are also give first preference if qualified. So these are the environments we have within Equino, and one of the compliance from the local content in building capacity to local SME. Apart from that, we have been conducting feedback meetings for these ones who are not selected, to tell them where were the gaps and what they need to do. So this is another initiative. And also for those ones who are working with them, and we see that maybe they are lacking some criteria for them to be awarded, and we see that we can still work with them. So we do have program like performance follow-up meeting for them to be lifted up while we are working together with them. So we have this kind of initiative within the company, which we put up together to ensure that the local SME are given, local SME, they are provided with a good ecosystem for them to work with oil and gas company. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I would really add to that in terms of, I think we've seen where companies have tried to run some sort of credit support or credit guarantee scheme on the back of their taking some of the risk or supporting the SMEs. That has helped banks get more comfortable and obviously lend to these SMEs and then help them grow from strength to strength and to the point that they don't need the support anymore. I'd like to open now to the floor for about 10 minutes or so. So that we can just get some more thoughts around the SME participation and technology transfer. I see a few bankers. I don't want to pick on them. He's picked himself. I was coming to. Yeah, please, Mroso, go ahead.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you for the good session. My name is Focus Mroso from CRDB. As a CRDB, we've been pioneering in establishing SME business in Tanzania. Currently, we have a portfolio for around 450 billion SME. We have tried to sort out the issue of challenging the security. We have established relationship with the guarantee funds. Currently, we have arrangement with the African Guarantee Fund, AGF, and the USAID to support the SME. These funds, they guarantee up to 50% of the risk. So as a bank, you can only take the 50% risk, of which we believe most of the SMEs, they can manage. And currently, we have another arrangement with PAS and the Tanzania Agricultural Development Bank to support the SME who are in agriculture. And also, we have been working with multinational companies who are doing big projects in Tanzania to support the value chain. Like currently, we are working with the contractors of Standard Gauge and the Nyerere Grand Hydro Power Project in supporting their local suppliers. What we normally do, we discounted the invoices to enable the local suppliers to continue with the business what they're expecting the invoices. So we have the invoice discount facility purposeful to support the SMEs, local SMEs. Also, we have the arrangement where we can give bid guarantee free of without any security. You can just come, you want to tender, we can give you a guarantee at a small fee without security. When you are awarded with the tender, then we'll start discussing the other stages, the performance guarantee, advance payment, where will normally allow you to a certain guarantee scheme arrangement to enable you to perform that contract. So we are ready to work with the oil and gas companies to see how we can support their suppliers in Tanzania in order to make sure that we develop the Tanzanian billionaires. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mroso from CRDB, for those quite very valid comments. So two hands this side. I'll start with the gentleman at the front, and then we'll go to the back.
Thank you. I'm a bit shocked with the comments that the major challenge identified by the Equino lady is actually for the SMEs in Tanzania to be unable to put up quality papers. I was thinking that maybe the challenge would be they bring up quality papers, but they are unable to live with the contract. They are unable to deliver the contract because the task maybe demands higher skills or demands complicated procedures which are known to them. Then I have a feeling that when we talk of LNG project, a project that is sufficiently of a large size, we are never implemented in Tanzania, we should not talk of SMEs. Maybe we should think of large enterprises. Because if the current focus of SMEs are unable to put up quality papers, what do you think with the LNG project that is extremely sophisticated? Now, I would ask Nick, since in Mozambique, the real practice is happening, and maybe the challenge they are facing could be a good lesson to Tanzania. Can Nick organize a study tour to Mozambique or make some kind of collaboration with whoever organization in Mozambique, if not ENH, to make sure that we prepare our, I wouldn't like to call them SMEs, I would like to call the appropriate enterprises in Tanzania that will be really groomed to handle or to participate in the LNG project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I didn't catch your name, sorry.
My name is Norbert Kayoza from Weura.
Mr. Kayoza, thank you very much for those comments, Mr. Kayoza. I think maybe for Rosa quickly is that within LNG in Mozambique, obviously you're playing now in the big space. It's a big sort of investment. And perhaps are we looking, is SME too small? Is it the large local corporates that play more of a role and they have the feeders from the SMEs? So just something for you to ponder on as we take the next question. Gentleman behind Mr. Kayoza, please, welcome.
My name is Thabit Kagembe, and I'm a business support head for Equino Tanzania. Myself is more as a comment rather as a question.
Welcome.
From the experience, what I see the big gap for SME sometimes is awareness of what it takes for working for oil and gas industry. Oil and gas industry is very HSE, quality, human right driven. And sometimes you find you have suppliers who probably have been working on their field for many years. And actually, they might have experience, but the challenge is they are not really aware of what it takes to work for oil and gas. That it can be based on the certifications, it can be based on the competence or human rights requirements and etc. So I think what needs to be done more is share awareness on the requirements of what it takes to work for oil and gas, make sure you have the right certifications, you have the right competence and etc. I think that is the big thing which needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those very valid comments, quite HSE sensitive, environmentally sensitive environments in which these suppliers need to work. And I would like to draw our discussion to a close slowly, and we'll get some remarks from Rosa. And I hope Ms. Mbaga will request an invitation to Mozambique, as has been suggested from the floor, to get some sort of learnings how we can empower our local SMEs. So LNG, is it too big for the local SMEs, and how do we sort of get them to play in that space, as one of our last questions to you?
Thank you. The participation of SMEs in the economic development is always very, very important. These are the companies who create jobs, who will pay more and more taxes to the government. So we don't think that the LNG business is too big for our SMEs. What needs to happen is that we have to ensure that the companies are ready to provide goods and services. The legislation is there. It promotes the participation of local business community. It promotes joint venture. And what needs to happen, like I said, is that we need to prepare more and more local companies and our labor force. And we believe that for local companies to establish partnerships through, for instance, joint ventures is the best way, or is one of the best ways to ensure that they are able, technically and financially, to supply goods and service in this industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that was really right on cue. So we're going to come to a stop here. This is quite a deep subject. I hope we've done it a bit of justice. Just to sort of wrap up in terms of the comments that have come through, a lot of support required from the stakeholders in terms of regulators, in terms of bodies such as the NEEC and the players as well in the market, to really support the SMEs to raise their game from an awareness point of view, raise their game from understanding the intricacies of this sector, and that the opportunities are really abound if you've really been listening since morning. So it's really for us to sort of raise the game to live up to that. And obviously it's good from a Tanzanian context is that, from this panel, we've got the likes of the NEEC that's aware of what's happening, and they're thinking about oil and gas, and they're thinking about the necessary interventions. We've got Equinor and the likes who have seen their role in terms of influencing development within that. And obviously we've got neighbors across the border from where to pick up some good examples of how we need to run with this and what we need to avoid. So I'd like to bring it to an end there. Thank you very much, ladies, for being on the panel. And thank you all for storming through this session and sticking to it. We hope you have a lovely evening at the UK High Commissioner's residence soon. Cheers. Thank you.
All right. Ivan, I'll take note of your comment of the gender imbalance. I'm not sure where it actually was. I didn't feel it. I just want to say congratulations to you for surviving it. Please stand, and if you would come close together, we'll take a good picture of the moderator and the panelists. Please put a good caption to that, huh? Thank you, Ivan. Right, ladies and gentlemen, final act of the evening is the Tanzania Oil and Gas Industry Awards. And we have 4 awards to give away this evening, ladies and gentlemen. For a very quick forward before I announce the winners, may I please call on Tiago for a very, very brief explanations on the awards. Very briefly, Tiago. Your hands, ladies and gentlemen.
So just very quickly, so we decided this year to organize this award so we could actually recognize the work of Tanzanian international companies for the last 12 months and in different areas that they have distinguished themselves. We also are really proud to be organizing the second University Student Award. So we organized a contest for essays where students from across Tanzania had to send an essay, and we got about like literally 500 essays from across Tanzania, from various different universities, from various different regions. And we have the winner here with us. So he's also going to win his award for a brilliant essay that he submitted. And that's it. So obviously these awards are just to recognize a few of the companies that have distinguished themselves. The awards were online, so people could submit their reasoning for voting for these companies. So next time I suggest everybody votes. we got quite a few, but we need more votes. Anyway, so now I'm going to pass on to Taji to continue this ceremony. So let's celebrate who really did a good job last year.
Thank you. All right, I think let's do it on stage. And if you would step to the middle. And Balozi Abdul Samad, may I please welcome you to the stage as well. So next year we promise to have lights, a camera action, and, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the Tanzanian Company of the Year. And the winner in this category is Bakresa Group. This award presented by Balozi Abdul Samad Abdrahim to Ali Saburi, Director of Operations, Bakresa Group. Oh, we do have music. Great. Thank you. I know you guys, we've used this before, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, the International Company of the Year Award is awarded to Puma Energy. Calling on Dominic Dana, Managing Director, Puma Energy. Makofi. I was asking Dominic whether it's Puma or Puma. He tells me it's Puma for Africa, Puma for their South American cousin. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the local content champion. And the winner is Plasco. Music. Yes, that's right. On the stage is Mr. Alimia Osman, Chief Operating Officer, Plasco. Excellent. And finally, this evening, ladies and gentlemen, the second University Student Contest, the winner, who will receive a scholarship for online training from Norwell Edge, which deserves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And that will accompany the name as well. The winner is Leguyamu Muhumuliza. Lugeyamu Muhumuliza. May I call all the winners up onto the stage, please? All the winners with your trophies, please come up onto the stage for a group photo. Tanzanian Company of the Year by Cresta Group. Please keep the music going. Please keep the music going. Please keep the music going. Not too loud, but yeah. The International Company of the Year, Puma Energy. The local content champion, Plasco. And our second university student contestant, Lugeamu Muhumuliza. Ladies and gentlemen, done. The Tanzanian Oil and Gas Industry Awards presented. Thank you. Please put your hands together for them. And please visit their booths. And hopefully we can get to read the essay online. All right, our sponsors this evening, thank you very much. Please keep the music going because it really works with this one. Shell, Equinor, tuendelee na mziki kidogo, Pan-African Energy, Dodsal as our premium sponsors, Ocean Business Partners, Stanbic Bank, Amoret, Vodacom, IMI Venture, Risk Management, Bolore, NMB, Oryx Energies, Worley, Advision, and Morel Prom. Thank you very much, our sponsors. I have a few announcements to make. We truly appreciate your support. The QR code, ladies and gentlemen, allows you to keep abreast with the Congress dynamics. Kindly continue to scan for updates. Your copy of the exchange was on the table, hot from this morning. Please pick it up and enjoy the engrossing articles. The Executive Business Lounge by Amoret has become very popular, I can see. I hope you're truly enjoying that. Scheduled to meet and transact in its luxurious settings. It's also good to see that other exhibitors also have some wonderful space to meet. Please continue to network. The exhibitors look forward to your visits. Kindly find time to meet relevant stakeholders. And here, I picked this up outside yesterday. All right? I didn't want to wear a suit like you, Balozi. All right, so tomorrow I'm coming with something else that I bought from outside. And those are our local content stakeholders that we've welcomed from across the region. So ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, no need to do your suit, just get out there and buy something and come and let's see we might just do who's the most fashionable at the Congress award tomorrow. Presented by the MC. I hope you had a great day. And now we get into the buses. And nobody, like if you're anyone at all, you can't